Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Welcome back to the Maverick News channel, everyone. Hello, Maverick family. We have so many things to share with you tonight, including, I think, a story that has sort of some surprising elements to it out of Alberta and the oil patch out there. Also, we're going to be taking a look at what's going on in the Middle East. Things continue to escalate, even as Trump says, well, this is the war that they won 2 weeks ago or so, right? Well, it's not quite over yet. We'll tell you why. And at the end of the broadcast tonight, oh yes, I promised you Hitchcock. You're going to get Hitchcock tonight as we present our regular Friday night Maverick Midnight Matinee Watch Party feature. And tonight it's going to be Alfred Hitchcock's The Sorcerer's Apprentice. It comes with everything you're looking for. Suspense, drama, and even a little humor. So don't go away. We'll be right back on the other side of this.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
All right, so tonight we are going to be talking about issues that will tie into the whole separatism issue. And of course, that involves certainly two main provinces in this country, Alberta, of course, and Quebec. And because Quebec is always part of the equation, we're going to bring in our man from Montreal. There he is. Hello.
What's
Ian,
up, sir?
How are you tonight?
Doing good, as always.
So, we're gonna. Ian has been digging into information on the latest polling, both in Quebec and in Alberta, to kind of get a sense of where people are at. With regard to the separatism question. But we're not going to get to that right now. We've got other stuff we have to touch on first. You have to stay tuned. But Ian's going to handle that end of things, and he's going to help me tonight as we navigate through some of today's top news stories. And that, of course, that we have to lead tonight with what is going on in the Middle East. We have escalation, and it looks like we're going to get boots on the ground, even though everyone was promised, first of all, there would be no wars like this, and we were promised that we would have no boots on the ground. But it looks like that's what's going to happen. We've got evidence to back that up. Now, it hasn't happened yet, but it looks like it's going there. Now, as all that is happening on the U.S. side, we're going to tell you tonight, too, that Canada and other NATO countries are actually dialing things back in some of the areas in the Middle East. So with that, are you surprised, Ian, to, at this point, see what's happening over there, that we still have escalation instead of resolution on this?
No, I'm not surprised. To be quite honest, it's pretty much history repeats itself, as I used to say all the time. So it's what it is. It's a recurring processes. So we got to get along with all that. And it reminds me of what's happened in 2008, if my memory is correct, where, similar problem was happening back in the Middle East with the US and Canadian, which, it did drive a lot of problematic into our economic. So That's what I feel that
Excuse
it's
me.
coming.
Well, yeah, and that is part of the big story tonight is oil prices. They continue to rise, spiking again today. Here, I'll show you where we're at. They did go up again today. Crude oil price today is not looking good. We are at WTI crude 98.23, Brent crude 107, Merban crude $144.50 a barrel. So we've got some pretty serious price escalations there. Up 16.48% for Merban crude, and natural gas up just slightly, 2.25%. Everything's up. Everything's up. And that's translating into higher prices at the pumps.
Well, weirdly, and that's maybe something I should do more often. Weeks ago, I was, walking around in my city. I don't have a car, so gas for me, I don't really look at the pump what it costs, right? Because doesn't really have any matter for me, but could have a matters from the standpoint that, well, it will have a consequences on the price of your grocery and whatnot. So that's the thing. And I'm looking at it last week in Montreal. It was like 182, something along those lines. 189 at some point. 189.9 or 7.
189 for gasoline, for
Yeah,
regular gasoline. Where was that?
for 1 liter in Montreal.
Oh my!
Right,
Let's take
right,
a look
right
at
around the corner.
let's take a look at where gas prices are at in Canada tonight. Then we'll compare it to the U.S. So this is in Montreal. You're talking about, and what day was that? Was that today or was that another
No,
day?
that was about a week ago.
A
Two
week
two
ago.
days ago, I went there again for a walk and just made my little. I'm thinking that I'm gonna do more survey of those prices, and it was around 190. So we're going into the $2 soon.
Wow, man, that's rough. So average price today on the Canadian Automobile Association website, where they monitor gas prices nationally, is $1.68 per liter. Ouch. That kind of wipes out the carbon tax cut that we got with the new Liberal government coming in. Now that's gonzo. We were paying that when Trudeau was in office. So this is bad news overall. And you can see here was lowest price in the past month, $1.29. Today, $1.68. That reflects, I think, exactly what is going on. It's a reflection of what's happening in the Middle East tonight. I don't like that. That's going to result in inflation. More inflation. Let's see what's going on the U.S. side. See, I don't drive nearly as much as I used to, but still hurts everybody. As they say, AAA, no, that's not the right one. Hang on. There we go. This is the USA. Big, wide division, big variation in gasoline prices still, always in the U.S. $5.65 is the highest price per gallon. And lowest price, $3.25. Yes, you're going to get the highest price, of course, out in California, where they have the highest taxes. And 325. Arkansas 336. Kansas 325. Michigan and Ohio. What are we looking at here? Michigan 392 average price. Ohio 372. Montana, $3.51. Washington, $5.21. Arizona, $4.45. Texas, $3.60. But that's the oil state. Why is it $3.60 down there? Shouldn't it be like 99 cents? No. Oil companies got to make their profits, and Florida, $3.95. Big difference between $3.60, $3.20, $3.25, and $5.65. That's a huge difference in pricing.
See, I mean, Linda made a good point there on the chat, and it's true. When you go from Montreal and go in direction of Quebec, the price get higher as much as you get closer to Quebec, because it's mostly suburban too, and in suburbs, well, it costs more. So there's a little bit of that.
I'm going to convert the price of Canadian gas to U.S. Because it was what I said, $1.69, right? Was the average price nationally? That's the average price. That's not the highest. So what's this going to work out to? 3.74 liters per gallon.
So that's a difference.
Yeah, there's 3.74, 3.78 liters in a gallon. One gallon's 3.785 liters. So that's $6.39 Canadian per gallon, because you have to convert with the exchange rate too. So with the exchange rate, gives you about $4.66 US per gallon. So, when compared to what's going on in the US, our price is somewhere in the middle compared to all the states. Right?
Yep. At least we're not that bad. It could have been worse.
Right, I think that's right. So let me just double check it, because my math might not be right, even though I'm using a calculator.
You maybe slip a finger somewhere.
So works out to after the currency conversion, about $4.64 USD per gallon. So right in the middle. But of course, results will vary depending on where you live, what province or state you're in.
Yep. And basically what happened yesterday with the new attacks in Iran and on the oil infrastructure, it went up to 118 plus per barrel. So we're in for a while.
Oh, yes, I think so. This is not over yet, and is not going to be over for a while. I don't care how the political spin is presented to us. This is not over. Here, Mike McCarrick sent this by email to us, just highlighting this, and this is just part of the evidence to show us that it's not over yet, folks.
Thanks, Mike.
Yes, USS Boxer, the second amphibious assault ship, now heading to the Middle East. This is today, just updated about an hour ago on TWZ News. American. That's why it's a Z. Pentagon reportedly sending the Wasp-class amphibious assault ship USS Boxer and the rest of its amphibious-ready group, loaded with elements of the 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit. And this comes as the Trump administration is reported to be increasingly considering seizing or blockading Iran's highly strategic Karg Island in the Persian Gulf as part of the new phase of Operation Epic Fury. So it looks like Mike was saying that with everything going on there, this could allow them to put this latest move will make maybe as many as another 4,000 soldiers, if I understood what he sent me correctly. Another 4,000 soldiers into wherever it is that they may put them into, Karg Island or on shore someplace. Of course, we don't know really what they'll do. All the speculation is they'll go in and take Karg Island because of the oil infrastructure there, which, as I understand it, I think that place was constructed by the U.S. a long time ago when the Shah was still in power. And there's a lot of, is that correct? Yeah.
Yep.
So
the American did help for the construction of those pipelines and whatever you need to extract that oil. So
when Trump is saying, warning Iran, don't you attack these Gulf countries, or I will blow up Karg Island. No, he's not. He's not going to blow up Karg Island. He wants Karg Island. That's one of the main objectives, I think, is to take over Karg Island, because that's where all the oil kind of flows to, and that gives Iran access to tidewater because of where it's situated. They turned that into basically a filling station for tankers so that they could pull up there and top up and then head on over to wherever their oil is sold. So there you go. The other weird thing is the sanctions. There's talk of removing sanctions even on Iranian oil tankers in order to get the price of oil down on the world markets. So here you are with the Trump administration bombing Iran, saying that they want to cripple the country, and then they turn around and, just like Russia, which, Ukraine's at war with Russia, so what does Trump do now? And this is why Russia's winning. He lifts the sanctions on Russian oil. Now he's talking about, and I don't know if it's been done yet tonight, they're talking about lifting the sanctions on Iranian oil while they're bombing the place, trying to put the regime out of power and cripple the country so that they can do whatever it is that they want to do. And yet does that make any sense to you?
Well, there's a portion of it that makes sense, because to a certain degree, when Trump or the American army will basically cut off Iran from Russia to a certain degree, because Russia also, have a lot of trades with them in the oil industry. Basically, you're putting a dent into what already is Russian oils that is in peril because of the attacks of the Ukrainian on oil industry. So what you get, basically, it's probably a stand down on the oil and less pressure on Russia, so you don't anger too much the bear. But that's maybe just me.
Well, there's actually some logic to that, and what you're seeing in the Strait of Hormuz right now is some ships have been passing through there safely. But if you look at the countries that own the ships, that have the ships, where they're flagged, if you look at where those ships are flagged from, it's countries that, for one reason or another, have favor with, or maybe are calling in favors, or there's politics at play with Iran. There's also some reports out there today that Iran may be accepting payments of like $1 million in order to get a ship through safely. It's the strangest of situations. I don't know what the U.S. is going to do. I think that Trump has backed himself into a bit of a corner here, and he's looking for a way out, and I don't think he has a good way out. That's why we're seeing this escalation, and maybe we will have soldiers thrown into the fray.
Yeah. Well, it does remind me a little bit of what happened during the Iraq War, because there was, I would call that a quagmire sort of situation, and it was kind of similar at some point. But
Well, speaking of Iraq, tonight Canada is joining other NATO countries, and we're going to be pulling. I understand we're pulling troops out of Iraq. Let me see if I can get you the details on that. I know that this is going on. Maybe here. Nope. I'll find it for you.
did you lose my connection?
No, no, no. I'm here. I'm here. I'm just looking. This is just something that I was aware of, and I'm just trying to give you the right information on it. I think McGuinty today posted on that, but there's nothing on. Like, I don't think he had a news conference on it, but he might have been scrummed, is what I'm saying. Yeah, this is fresh. It's all fresh, just coming from the government tonight. Canadian military members and civilians among the personnel NATO has pulled out of Iraq as because the country is facing these retaliatory strikes from Iran, along with other Gulf countries, because of this U.S.-Israeli war on Iran. So this came from Defense Minister David McGuinty, who says the Canadian Armed Forces and civilians who are there serving on the NATO advisory mission in Iraq are safe and in a secure location tonight. He says, as we continue to monitor the situation in the region, we call on all states to respect international law and uphold the fundamental principles of international prosperity and security. So that's a statement from McGuinty this evening. So this was, they were all over there for a non-combat NATO mission, started back in 2018. They were there to train and advise Iraqi forces to help stabilize the country and part of an anti-terrorism mission. And the mission over there has involved several hundred personnel from NATO allies, Austria, Australia. All of that information is out there on the NATO website. And the Supreme Allied Commander of Europe says tonight, said in a statement, I would like to thank the Republic of Iraq and all the allies who assisted in the safe relocation of NATO personnel. So just a sidebar development there. Canada is not directly involved in this conflict in Iran tonight.
Wow.
So,
Not a very good news.
well, it is good news in that they're all safe and, being pulled back into safety and away from where we're seeing this escalation tonight. So I'm happy about that.
Of course, but to what cost? I mean, I'm sure that it's just the beginning. You know what I mean? We're gonna have probably, I believe, 2 months to get prepared, and they say, I mean, they would estimate 1 month to get through the Strait of Hormuz to and take over the whole place. So, if that's right, and I'm not mistaken with that, we probably look into 2 months, and that's just my own estimation, and I'm not an expert, so.
Yeah, your picture kind of froze up there, I think. I can still hear you.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
I'm
your
gonna
picture's all
try
frozen.
something. For some reason, is my camera not working?
I don't know why. Well, we'll just keep on talking and your video will come back. So I guess we could, kind of segue here. Did you watch this interview yesterday with Pierre Poilievre on Joe Rogan, or did you see his
Uh,
address last night out of New York?
no, I didn't. Actually, I did see the address on New York with the folks here, but I
Yeah.
didn't look at Joe Rogan. I should
Hmm.
probably though.
Yeah. I've seen, little segments from it, but I haven't watched the whole thing. I honestly, for me, I think I've kind of heard it all before. I haven't really seen anything come out of on any of the highlight clips that makes me want to run off and spend. I think he was on there for an hour and a half or 2 hours or something. I just don't see that I need to do that. Like, I'm not going to learn anything. But I have to say, I was impressed with the way he kind of handled some questions, and the way he I think he was classy about it. He was given an opportunity to say negative things about Mark Carney, and he just didn't do that. He sort of just stuck to the issues and
Yeah,
said he wasn't going to disparage the prime minister on foreign soil. So I thought that was a feather in his cap.
yeah. No, yesterday it was a very diplomatic way to speak. I think from Polyev, he wasn't bashing on anything or anyone, like you said, and
Hmm.
yeah, I think he was heads on the issues.
Yeah, so he scored some points there, got some traction. Of course, appearing on that live stream makes him look cooler, I think, and maybe more relevant with the probably one of the most important voting blocks out there, which is people, I'd say, in their even their the early 20s into their maybe your 40s, maybe even a little bit older. Older voters probably don't watch Joe Rogan as much, but I think that's probably what the demographics are all about. So I think it positions him well as he looks to gain ground heading toward the next election, whenever that might be. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We need to wait for it. I think
Yeah.
it's at the end of the day. We ain't gonna have the answer soon. Yeah.
Okay, so you're still frozen. So what we're going to do is we'll take a short break so Ian can disconnect and then reconnect, and then maybe we'll get him back in full motion when we continue on the other side of this.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
There he is.
I
He's back.
refreshed, but I think my image
Now
still cut off.
you're completely disappeared on us.
Yeah,
What
I
happened to
see
you?
that. I don't know. Something I
You're
think
hiding.
between there's something between us. I think trying to I don't know, invade
They're
my
trying to
stuff.
divide us and keep us apart.
So I'm pushing the troubleshooting thing so I can see what's going on, but I don't see much.
Well, I could see you for a moment. Disconnect and reconnect again. Let's try that.
All right, we'll do.
It's an adventure. While Ian tries to fix his camera, I want to get in segue into this story about MAGA oil in Alberta. This is actually an issue that has been ongoing for a long time, but we'll come to that when Ian is able to join us properly again, because he has his information on the polling on separation to share with us on that front too. It all connects. However, what I should do is show you this. Randy Hillier, his problems with the federal government, freedom fighter, not over. Looked like his court battles had been won, but maybe not so much, because tonight, as you can see from this headline, former MPP's Freedom Convoy related case back on after stay of charges overturned. Criminal case against former Ontario legislator Randy Hillier over his participation in the Freedom Convoy protests is back on after the province's top court overturned a decision to stay the charges. Of course, we've had Randy on the program here a few times. All these charges were stayed back in late 2024 when a lower court judge ruled the case had stretched it too long, taking it past the mandatory time limits set by the Supreme Court of Canada. Cap is 30 months for cases in Superior Court. And the lower court judge, Superior Court Justice Carrie McVeigh, found Hillier's case spanned 31 months and 13 days after deducting delays caused by the defense and exceptional circumstances. So this came down today. Court of Appeal for Ontario found McVeigh should have attributed another 93 days of delay to exceptional circumstances and deducted them from the tally, which would put the case back within the designated limits. Yeah. Randy Hillier served in the Ontario legislature for 15 years. Conservative for most of those years, but then, because of the pandemic and what happened with mandates and his opposition to those mandates, he was kind of pushed out and served the last 3 years as an independent. Then in March of 2022, he was charged with 9 offenses connected to his alleged role in the Freedom Convoy demonstrations. Those charges included assaulting a peace officer, and still do, I guess, because he's going back to court, mischief, counseling others to commit mischief, and resisting or obstructing a peace officer. There was this assault charge that was related to allegations that Hillier pushed a metal gate into an officer while trying to enter Parliament Hill. I saw that video, and at least from the angle I saw it from, it didn't look like an assault to me, but maybe there's another angle. Because the charges were stayed, we never really saw what the evidence didn't play out in court. So don't know exactly where we stand with all that. And of course, we saw this this past week that the whole Emergencies Act decision being challenged again by the federal government. The court ruling was that the use of the Emergencies Act was deemed unconstitutional. But the federal government, at the last minute, on the last day, appealed that decision. On the last day before the deadline, to appeal expired. So they've appealed, and it's going to go back, and we're going to take it to the next level. So with that, give me a moment here. Ian is still getting himself all set up, and we will return on the other side of this.
Maverick News isn't just a news outlet, it's a community of truth seekers. Your donation at freedomreporters.com fuels our mission to report the stories that mainstream media won't touch. Thank you, Maverick family.
Looks like maybe we lost Ian. He hasn't returned. What's going on? I don't know. It's Friday. Not sure. Well, shall we proceed here? I don't know where he went. Maybe he lost his internet. I lost my partner in crime tonight. Well, this is disappointing. I wanted to do this whole thing with him. That's why he was supposed to be here. Here he comes. All right, we've got him. And action. What is wrong with your camera?
I don't know. Some things started to disappear for some reason. Somebody's trying to play with me now, I believe.
All right. Well,
that sucks.
Let's just do this.
It tells me it's looked like my camera is locked by another application like Zoom or another property.
Oh, so you've been using it for something else and you have conflicting software.
Yeah, well,
you need to close something. That's what you need to do.
I don't have any other software that function with the camera. That's the weird part.
Well, let me find something to put over you so we can get a picture of you up there. We got that. How about I don't know. We don't want that one. It doesn't really matter. You've got kind of a goblin looking thing there on your screen anyway, so it's all right. All right, we'll just put that there. Now you've got the Maverick logo over you.
We'll be good for tonight like this, and I'll figure out what's wrong.
All right, well, it's like a phone call. So, okay, so here's the thing. You and I were talking a little bit earlier today because I called you about this with regard to Alberta, separatism, Quebec, separatism, oil. I'm always thinking about stuff. And I was thinking this morning, everybody, the federal government seems to get blamed for everything, no matter what. When I was talking about healthcare a few nights ago. So I had a couple of people messaging me back about their experiences with healthcare, complaining about it, and aiming their frustration clearly at Mark Carney, federal government. But Ian, a lot of that frustration is misdirected because healthcare is a provincial responsibility.
Yep.
So if you have an issue with healthcare, not that the federal government is completely hands off. You do have issues there to some degree because you have transfer payments from the federal government to provinces, and you have Health Canada. But generally speaking, largely healthcare provincial. So if you've got an issue with healthcare, you should take it up with your premier and your provincial government and your provincial health minister. That's why it's called the Ontario Health Insurance Program, right, or plan. And every province has its own health insurance programs, its own healthcare systems, depending on what kind of government you have and how they budget for things and how the system is set up there. Experiences vary widely across the country. Just one example, right? And so you're going to get something different in BC, where you have an NDP government, versus what you have here in Ontario, where you have a conservative government, versus what you have in Alberta, where you have a UCP government, versus what you have out in the Maritimes, and so on. And certainly something different up in the Arctic, right? But I was thinking about that. People often don't even understand which level of government has jurisdiction over certain things. Then I was thinking about our friend John Rimby, because John has always spoken about his freehold mineral land claim or minerals claim in Alberta, because he says that he has a valid claim on land, surface land rights, where oil is being extracted. And ever since we've known him, he's always spoken about this. He talked about it a couple of times on the program. Do you know what I'm talking about? Are you familiar with any of it?
Yep.
Okay, so when I've spoken to him, he's been trying to go after money and legal challenges out in Alberta But it seems like he's often focused on the federal government and blaming the liberals, the federal government for that stuff. But it's misdirected. If I'm getting that correctly, remembering correctly what he was talking about. And I'm bringing this up because there's something current going on with all of this out in Alberta right now. But see, minerals, resources, oil, that is provincial jurisdiction. So I was thinking about that this morning. Again, if you have an issue with all of that, it's the provincial government that you have your beef with. So as I thought about that, I started to look into it more, and there's been this ongoing story over the past couple of years involving landowners out there who are in the same boat as our friend John, who have land where, well, John doesn't have the land anymore. His is a slightly different story, but they have landowners out there where oil wells are set up, and they're supposed to be paid fees, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And by the oil companies. And a lot of these oil companies, it seems, are delinquent in their payments to the landowners. They're basically not paying their rent to access the oil under the ground, because they're supposed to be paying rent to like the farmers or the landowners where these wells are set up. And a lot of them are not paying. A lot of these companies actually are claiming bankruptcy, or they're going delinquent. I don't know. There's something odd going on out there with all of it. There's far too much of it. And as a result of all this in Alberta, you also have a lot of orphaned oil wells where they take all the oil and then these companies go bust, and then the wells, I guess, are kind of like left just orphaned and not cleaned up at the end of it all. So these are big issues. I'm oversimplifying a lot of it for the sake of time here, but I just highlight it because this is a really I couldn't believe this. There's a company out there, as everybody out in Alberta is focused on this separatism issue, and you see the rise of MAGA, right? There's a company out there, an oil company, that is making headlines and has been just within the last few days again. And guess what the name of the company is?
Hold on, I'm trying to go for it. SNC-Lavalin?
No.
No?
No, stay away from that. We're going to save that one for another night. I know you've been
Another
working on
one.
some stuff there. No. No. That's
No?
not what it is. Get this name. Everybody, all these 51st staters, right? They want to join the United States. They're all pro-MAGA, blah, 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 blah. And this company has not been paying its bills out in Alberta. MAGA Energy.
Oh. MAGA.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. MAGA
shit.
Energy. So this is a company with offices in Calgary, but they have property, or they've gone in and they've purchased about 170 different oil wells in Alberta. And because they purchased these wells, they're supposed to be paying fees to these landowners. And they're not paying. They haven't been paying. They're like 3 years in arrears. If you can, yeah. So the landowners, very upset. And in the Edmonton area, landowners are still holding their ground tonight in what has become a standoff with what they're calling a delinquent oil company, MAGA Energy. So there are a couple of guys out there, Mark Doran and Dale Braun. I haven't spoken to them yet, but I'm reaching out to see if maybe we can get one of them on the program. But they put up a wooden blockade more than a week ago on their southwest Edmonton farmland, where MAGA Energy operates several pump jacks. And these landowners say the company hasn't paid its annual lease, about $12,000 a year, for 3 full years. It's not like for an oil company, it shouldn't be like massive fees, right? So they've legally terminated the agreement and insist that MAGA staff can only come back now onto the property to decommission the wells and get off their property. So Dorn put it plainly right there in front of these active wells on a sign. It says, and actually held a news conference a number of days ago. He says, if I'm a landowner and I don't pay my bills, I lose my land, I lose my house. But look behind me, we've got active pump jacks here all operating and they haven't paid their bills. I think I've got a clip for you here. Yes, sir, I do. Let me bring it up here. This is courtesy of Canadian Press. So let me show you. This is Mark Dorn. He has been an advocate for, a fighter for landowners in Alberta who have been having big problems with oil companies and the provincial government, which of course is supposed to be regulating these big oil companies, but it looks like they've been giving these oil companies a pass. And he says that the AER, I think it's the Alberta Energy Regulator, has not been doing its job. It hasn't been enforcing the law, and these oil companies have been abusing the landowners.
So today in Alberta, we effectively have two sets of laws. One for everyday people, like the people that own this land, and one for these oil companies here that can't seem to abide by Alberta law. If I'm a landowner and I don't pay my bills, I lose my land, I lose my house. It's that simple. But look behind me. We've got MAGA active pump jack here, Tidewater infrastructure and midstream, active tank battery there, more pump jacks over there on our land, all operating, and they haven't paid their bill. There's 3 years arrears of rent on this particular piece of land. So today, things are going to change. So now we see the results. We've got a complete loss of social license for the industry that built this province. And thousands of landowners across this province are absolutely fed up with this lawlessness and these double standards. So today I have a message to other landowners who are dealing with this kind of disaster on their land. You're not alone. You can take the same action I took here to protect yourself when the company stops paying their rent.
It'd be nice if somebody would wake up and the whole thing get cleaned up and it's fine. As far as how it's going to play out, I have very little faith in our Alberta government and the regulators. Unfortunately, that's a problem. It'd be nice that when this gets a light shine on it, somebody wakes up and grows up. So that would be nice. It would be nice if everybody or the people involved would just grow up and step up to the table, follow the regulations that are in place. Everything would be fine. And the oil field in Alberta could prosper.
Well, you know what? No system is perfect, especially when it's run by the government. But I will tell you, this government is focusing like a laser on this particular issue. We've come up with a number of recommendations that were brought about as a result of a number of serious boards gathering together and giving best practices from industry and from experts right across the field to get the best results ultimately for the different layers of complexity of this issue, and there are a lot.
So he's making recommendations. They have recommendations, but they haven't enforced the law. The law is pretty clear. You pay. But I guess if you're, and I don't think MAGA Energy is out of business. They just haven't been paying their bills. Now, I can tell you today, I have been trying to contact the company. And just like every other journalist out there who has been trying to contact the company, no response. So they're hiding, basically, is what they're doing. MAGA Energy. MAGA, by the way, as I understand it, the company MAGA, it stands for Make Alberta Great Again.
Okay.
Oh, my. So there's all that, and then there's the orphan well issue, which is sort of related to this. It's not so easy it's not as easy to make money in the oil business as a lot of people think, because you have to get it out of the ground and then get it to market. I think one of the issues that this company has been facing is the refinery where they were going to be selling or had been selling their oil, went out of business for some reason, and so they lost one of their major customers, major destinations. That seems to have been an issue, but of course, without comment from the company and because they're not returning calls, don't really know what the whole side of their story is tonight. Nevertheless, I've left messages, sent messages. We'll see if they respond.
Well, I hope you're going to have some good answers on this one.
MAGA Energy out in Alberta, which, and this is like let's face it, it's the pivotal issue out in Alberta on the separatism issue. So, Ian, you have been digging into, and I wish we could see you. It drives me crazy.
Me too.
You're just a big black box. Okay. Tell us what is going on with
I'll try to change that.
With the polls, I guess. Do you think you can fix your camera? Do you want to take a moment to try to do that again? It was working before. I don't know why we can't see it.
I can try, but I believe I would have to actually go on the troubleshoot.
Why don't we take a little break? We'll come back. We'll dig into these new polls. We're on the question of separation, breaking up the country, and you can unplug your camera, plug it back in or whatever, and see if it just reactivates on your computer. We'll just give Ian a moment to try and reconfigure his technical stuff. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
The information war is raging. Truth without integrity is worth nothing. Maverick News. Because those who have power and those who seek it must be held accountable.
The world is watching.
Join our family of truth seekers. Donate today and add your voice to the chorus of Maverick Knights. Donate at maverickdonations.com. Truth. Integrity. It's the Maverick way. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on Earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV, the entire world is watching. On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
Ian's still not back, but we'll see what happens. Just with regard to MAGA Energy, they do have an office in Calgary. I can tell you the phone number, though, when I dialed the number today, came up as a U.S. phone number. That doesn't necessarily mean they're not Canadian, but that's weird, Ian, because I could see you for a moment, and then now you're not visible again.
Yeah, it did the same thing again. I don't know what's going on, but oh well.
Okay. Okay, so let's just dig into this. So anyway, yeah, and also the company has they did speak to one of the landowners recently, and said that they sent an email out, I believe, because that has been published. Just a brief correspondence saying they've had a revenue drop and can't pay their bills.
Mm-hmm.
But you know how these things go, and you can set up these companies in ways that shield them from paying their bills sometimes. Sometimes because they have limited liability, depending on how the companies are structured, they can kind of walk away from things, and the companies are left with the liabilities, but the people attached to those companies aren't. Do you understand?
Yep.
Yeah. So we'll see. It's not the only company that is doing the only oil company that is doing this out in Alberta. I've been warning everybody with regard to these separatists, man. The oil industry, it's a nasty business, and all of this, not all of it, but a lot of the separatism, the big part of the movement out there is focused so much on oil, and it's a nasty, nasty business. You ever see the program, the show? What do they call it? Land. It's done in the same vein as Yellowstone. Land. What's the series? Help me out there, guys. I watched the first, I don't know, 6 or 8 episodes or so. Land.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, but geez. Oh my God.
Landman. But a West Texas oil companies. Landman TV series came out in 2024. Anyway, even that series starts off with sort of drug cartel, oil enforcement people beating the crap out of the lead character. It's pretty nasty stuff. Anyway, I'm getting off on a sidetrack. Separation. What have you found out from these polls? Where are we at tonight?
Well, from what I've seen, globally, we're at 29% of the people that doesn't want, or there's we're at 29% of the people that does want to get to a separation. So that gives us 71% of the people that want to stick Canadian and stick in Canada. So yeah. And what does that tell me? That there's two things. It's a good thing, we're on the right direction, but the resentment is there. And that is also, well, it's an open door for more people to go into that other camp, which that's what I don't want, but yeah, that's what it is.
Okay, so I've got I have a graph here, so this might help a little bit. So latest polls show that, and you were looking at Quebec and Alberta, right? So there's this Leger poll in Alberta, which shows, what is this? In 71% are opposed to separation, 29% support it. As of right now, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, so 71% opposed to Quebec separation. And why do you think that is today? And I understand this is the lowest result that they've had. Although I kind of find that hard to believe, but isn't this the most support there has been for keeping the country together since about 1995 or so? Isn't that right? Oh, there it is right there. Highest Quebec no since 1995. It's right there on the graphic.
Yep.
Why do you think that's happening? Is it because of all the 51st state talk, the tariffs, Trump? Is it all of that?
Yeah, I think that there's a little bit of that. Actually, I would even go further to this. during the COVID, this is where we had that frustration and that resentment that was growing against the government, right? Which
Right.
we'll tie later for another day to NC Lavalin another time, but that was already still lingering right from that point. So from there, you have that situation of COVID, then the convoy, which became the separatists later. So it's, I think, a snowball of evolution of things from there.
Okay. So I don't know if people could hear me there. Were you able to hear me, folks, when I was speaking there? Because I disappeared off the screen. Anyway, in case I wasn't on, and in case Ian wasn't on either, this is the highest no response to a poll on Quebec separation since 1995. 71% opposed to separation, in favor of keeping the country together. And that's the highest Quebec no vote or in a poll since 1995. Now, you're also looking that's a Léger poll. Abacus conducted a poll last month. This Léger poll from Quebec just recently, new poll in Quebec. This one, Abacus now, February 20th to 25th is when it was taken. And what are the results here?
Sorry, for Abacus.
Yeah.
This is 26% support and 64 in oppose. So, yeah, that gives us the lens of the Lord, and we know where we at. We ain't going to be American soon.
Right. Yeah. So 64% opposed to separation, in favor of keeping the country together. That does not mean that we're not going to get the referendum. Or we don't know exactly what's going to happen with that, because they are out there still gathering signatures trying to make this referendum happen. They need 177 or 178,000 signatures on the petition in order to force putting this question.
Something along these lines, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's another layer of the thing. I mean, like I say, it doesn't mean that later we might have this number growing, because the more we speak about it, the more we poke the bear, and the more it get promoted, the more it might, linger in some opinions and make people change ideas in the long run.
Well, there's not as much support there as the separatists that I've heard clips from have been claiming. Some of them have been saying they have like 45% or higher in the polling they've done. I don't know if any of that is accurate. It depends on the poll, I guess. Who's conducting it, how they ask the question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So, but still a long way away from really legally achieving any kind of real separation, because they need a clear majority, and I think they're a long way from that at this point. So maybe we'll have Brandon Pringle back on in the next few days. Of course, he did that program with us. How many nights ago was that? 3 nights ago?
Yep.
I guess.
Well, I would like to be there also. I could probably ask him a few questions and see where we at into that, because I'm not sure if he's aware of those polls, or that could be a good idea to ask him.
Well, maybe we'll bring you in and you guys can hash it out. He was laying out his arguments, but I don't think we really got to the meat of the matter the other night. So hopefully he said that he should come back and do a second part. People certainly are interested in this, and I don't think we really got to the core questions. Don't think we really dealt with the main issues. Maybe we will. I think he said he might come back Sunday or Monday, but we shall see.
Yeah, well, he was all over the place, and I don't think he did scratch the subject much. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, he brought forth a lot of grievances, but we didn't really get into, I think, the meat of the separatism issue, So
Yeah, it did linger me into my appetite.
Yeah. So what else do we have going on here tonight? So, oh, you know what? Were you a Chuck Norris fan?
If I was, yes, I was. And of course, I know about his passing.
Yeah, I guess he passed away. So I know he went into the hospital. Saw stories about that. I think it was yesterday, and he's now passed away. Very sad. Action hero. You know, people. There were so many jokes out there about him because he was. There was this. He had this reputation of being, you know, invincible. Like he just super tough. You know.
Yeah, well, there's a Canadian Quebecer, French Quebecer actually, that has he has that thing on Facebook. He always goes on, like, he's running around in the house making jokes about Chuck Norris. Like, you know why Chuck Norris? Yeah, like, for example, I'll try to translate one. When God said, "And the light was," Chuck Norris said something, and you say, "Please." Things like that, you know, like Chuck Norris is at that pedestal of the alpha male thing, right? So,
yeah. I remember when I was a kid, all the there was this commercial with a movie trailer on it for the movie "Good Guys Wear Black," and in the trailer, there's the scene, the shot where Chuck Norris jumps up into the air, cars driving at him, and he does a kick right into the windshield of this car, right? And that was the shot. But he was in a lot of different action flicks over the years, and then of course he sold fitness equipment and stuff like that. But here's Trump tonight being asked about that, because I know Trump had met Chuck Norris a number of times, including at some, well, where else? Wrestling events.
I bet he was a great guy. Wow. Yeah, the guy in the hospital and moving around. He's like, he's a supporter, sir. Yeah, Chuck Norris. He's a great guy. He was a really good, tough cookie. We didn't want to fight him. I think he was a tough, great guy, and he was a great supporter. Wow. That's too bad. Now his family. Highest respect.
Yeah, did you have a favorite Chuck Norris movie?
You remember John Braddock, the character?
Oh yeah.
What was the name of the movie again?
I don't remember the exact name of the movie. I remember the character.
Yeah.
I remember.
Was it Delta Force? No, that's
yeah. He did that movie. He did. Yep.
Yeah.
He definitely did. And when back in the day when Walker Texas Ranger was on TV, people used to do that to me because of the show. It's Walker Texas Ranger. They would say it to me all the time, like,
I believe it.
Right? But of course, I'm no Chuck Norris. They were I guess it was popped into their heads because it was a popular program. Here's Trump meeting Chuck Norris at this.
Remind me the years of that, because I did watch that live.
Did you notice who else was in that shot?
In the background, yeah, I
Who was
think
that?
so. Hold on.
The guy right there in the yellow sweater.
That one I can't tell you. Hold on.
You can't tell? You don't know who that is?
It's not John Epstein. It's Epstein. No,
it's not. No, that's Henry Winkler. He played the Fonz on Happy Days. Hey,
the Fonz.
I met him. I met Henry Winkler. I rode in an elevator with him. I did in Toronto one day. Yeah, Henry Winkler, the Fonz.
Oh,
hey, there you go. He was kind of like really cool guy, the character on Happy Days. But when you meet him in real life, he's very just like an average, mild-mannered guy. And you can tell he's very, very intelligent, really, really smart, and a thoughtful man, I think. So that was my impression of the Fonz, Henry Winkler, the guy who jumped the shark. What a crazy show that was, Happy Days. And yeah, I just brings back a lot of memories just looking at that. Hard to believe that many years have gone by. Wow.
Time passed by, my friend. Time passed by.
Yes. I had a couple of other things lined up here before we get to our Maverick Midnight Matinee watch party tonight. I came across this too, a little bit of nostalgia. Have you ever see the guy getting shot in the stomach with a cannonball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know Homer Simpson did too, but that's the other thing, yeah.
I don't know why it came up in my feed. I have no reason to really show this to you tonight, other than I just thought, oh yeah, I remember that. This guy's nuts. There's got to be some tricks to this, like a circus thing. And I guess it kind of actually, in that respect, ties into the Maverick Midnight Matinee watch party we're about to have in the Alfred Hitchcock program we're going to share with you tonight. But here, I'm going to run this. This is crazy stuff, man. Why it was fed to me in my algorithm, I don't know. It just came up. So I'm going to play this for you. Hang on, where are we? I lost my tab. Is it here? Oh, for crying out loud, this computer. Too many technical issues here tonight. Okay, I've got it. We'll put it over here so I don't lose it again.
Don't try this at home, kids.
Yeah, don't try this at home. That's right. Oh, here it is. Okay, there it goes. Play it.
American strongman Frank Richards took a 104-pound cannonball to the stomach and walked away unscathed. So how did he forge his ironclad ABS? Frank trained by hitting his stomach with an iron ball, starting with 1,000 hits a day, then slowly building up to tens of thousands. Several men took turns swinging heavy hammers at his stomach, and he still stood there unharmed. Frank's name spread across the country. 8 strong men lifted a long wooden beam and swung it with full force, smashing it into his stomach, but Frank only stepped back a little, even giving a small smile. Then he let people jump onto his stomach, hundreds of pounds landing on one spot felt like nothing more than a light touch. Frank even clapped his hands, asking them to make it harder. Audience members punched his stomach, their fists hitting him like a solid iron post with no movement at all. The ones throwing the punches felt the pain instead. Heavyweight boxing champion Jess Willard did not believe it. He stepped up and hit Frank's stomach with full power, but it still seemed to have no effect. In 1932, looking for a new challenge, Frank decided to take a shot from a cannon to the stomach. 2 men loaded a 47-kilogram iron ball into the cannon. Frank stood only 10 feet from the barrel. The fuse was lit, the cannon fired, and the cannonball hit him straight in the stomach. The force threw Frank backward into a special canvas wall, but he stood up almost right away, showing no signs of injury after the stun. Frank said the act was very dangerous, and he could not perform it more than twice a day. He passed away in 1916 at the age of 81.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure that was highlighted. It was one of the it was a display or like a mention of it anyway at the Ripley's Museum in Niagara Falls. Don't know if it's still there. I'm pretty sure they've got some sort of a thing about that in there. Ripley's
You know what I'm thinking about?
Yeah. What's that?
You have this guy, now we got the clavicular.
I don't know. I don't think that guy was out to get the babes, though. These clavicular videos, man, they're ridiculous. Because, of course, I clicked on a couple of them, and then we ended up doing a little bit about that in one episode. Now they're constantly coming up in my feed. I can't get away from clavicular in the manosphere and all the babelicious babettes who are, swooning over him And it's all ridiculous. It's all fake. It is all freaking fake. It's all staged. That's what it is. It's a show.
Yep. It's a show, my friend.
It is. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're the spectacle of all that and the witness of that shit show.
Well,
let's put it this way.
Except that now we're more media savvy. We're on to them, Ian.
Yep.
And so we've got it figured out, and we're not tarded anymore. We're not tards, but that guy with the cannonball kind of fits into the category of the tards, right? So let's finish off the news segment of tonight's Maverick News broadcast with the tards, and when we come back on the other side, we'll continue with Maverick Midnight Matinee. Don't go away unless you're on YouTube, in which case we have to sign off over there. You'll have to join us over on Rumble or one of the other platforms carrying tonight's broadcast. We will be back, though, with this Alfred Hitchcock feature when we come back.
They're not stupid, they're just dumb, running their mouths with a digital thumb. I think they're tough, but they ain't that hard. Pity the fools, they're the tards. Retarded, can't see straight, full of rage and second-rate hate. Retarded, trying so hard, screaming at ghosts. They're the tards. No real thoughts, just mob and wine, marching circles, toe the